dudes all on her like this.
I cheated, and he might not biologically be his. That's why I'm here.
You're technically not together. You don't have to
together.
say we're broke up.
How you're just trying to prove. But I never had relationships with nobody else.
There comes a time in life when you just say, "Sel,
Why wouldn't you want to take a DNA test to see if this your child?
I didn't want to split us up.
I only had eyes for you.
When you talk about people having a chaotic relationship, this case most definitely fits that situation. On one side, we had Campbell, who was desperate to find out if the man she was in love with was the father of her 3-week-old baby. To complicate the situation, she was intimate with Mr. Rogers and his wife. I bet you didn't see that coming. To even further complicate the whole situation, Mr. Rogers now doubts that he even fathered the children of both women in question. I doubt anything could be worse than this.
All right, so I've got to start with you, Mr. Rogers. Please tell the court about this unconventional relationship you're in with your 2 wives, as you call them.
Me and Angela have known each other for 24 years. We've been married for 20 years. And we met Gracie where we worked at, and they kind of hit it off together. She brought Gracie into the relationship.
As you would expect, Mr. Rogers had to explain how he found himself in bed with both his wife and Ms. Campbell. He started by saying he and his wife had been married for 20 years. Here's where things get really spicy. His wife didn't just like men, she also had a thing for women too. I'm guessing you already know how Ms. Campbell got into the picture. Yup, Mrs. Rogers brought her into their marriage so she could get the double experience.
So let's just be clear. You all live together.
Yes, Your Honor. We all live together. We all sleep in the same bed. We got 3 boys, me and Angela. Me and Gracie have a 2-year-old son and maybe a 3-week-old
And the child in
daughter.
question.
Yes. Now, they had a commitment ceremony, these 2.
We did have a commitment ceremony, us 2. He was there. He's the one that gave me away, so it's not like...
Mr. Rogers couldn't stomach the things that came out of these women's mouths. They went to a swingers club and literally had sex with someone they didn't even know. I mean, who on earth does that? They're married for crying out loud. Now I see why Mr. Rogers has doubts about being the father of any of his kids. If you were in his shoes, wouldn't you feel the same way? Because he sure didn't see any of this coming.
I'm in relations with this guy that we don't even know.
You both have sex with this guy.
Yes,
Your Honor.
Without protection?
Yes,
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Rogers, you really didn't see this coming.
No, I didn't. I didn't see any of this coming. I thought we had a good relationship. You know, me and Gracie, we have a son together, 2-year-old son. You know, she wanted another child, and I thought that's what we was...
The gravity of the whole situation was enough to bring down the roof of the courtroom, trust me. I mean, how often do you get to see a man who happens to be in a polygamous relationship have doubts about being the father of the kids of the women he was intimate with? It's a very rare occurrence, believe me. As they told their sides of the story, the courtroom got pretty heated up. It was confession time, and they had a lot to say.
Still come home from work, and that's what you want to do is spend time with your baby girl and your children.
Yes. I went through my life without a dad. You know, he was there one day and then I didn't see him again for 10 years later. I don't want none of my kids to go through that, you know, whether they're or not. You know, it's not the kid's fault.
And Your Honor, I have here evidence of...
Ms. Campbell wasn't even sure who the baby of her child was. For her, it was either going to be Mr. Rogers or the random guy she got intimate with at the swingers club. Wow, I'm beyond speechless. You could only feel sorry for Mr. Rogers because he had no faults in this at all. Ms. Campbell tried to bail herself with evidence showing her conception period, but from the look on her face, you could tell she wasn't certain.
Polyamorous relationships are one thing, then you got poly cheating, that's another thing. You guys got a lot going on here. You got him in a relationship with you all, you both cheat, but now you gonna blame her and say she's the one wrong because she left her phone out.
I don't know how many times I can say I'm sorry to you.
Well, how do you think I feel? I'm going through the same issue with my 18-year-old.
Mr. Rogers was crushed and disappointed by what the ladies had done. They broke his heart beyond repair. He wasn't even sure if he wanted to still stay in the marriage or disappear completely. What even hurt him the most when the incident happened? They kept it a secret from him. I'm not even surprised. I mean, which lady on earth would want to tell their husband they cheated on him?
You got some more evidence?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Jerome, will you please get that from Ms. Campbell? And what is this evidence?
It's the evidence of Anna Gill's eyes that look exactly like his, and I know they have the same facial features.
So you feel like he is her father?
I feel like they have the same eyes.
Here's where the plot twist in this saga of lies and disloyalty thickens. The paternity of Ms. Campbell's 3-week-old baby wasn't the only one in question. Apparently, a while back, Mr. Rogers' wife cheated on him with another guy, and now he has serious doubts that he might not be the father of his teenage son. Could this situation get any worse? I'm very curious at this point.
Thank you for being there for her, regardless. You know, although many people may not understand the polyamorous relationship you've all decided you want to be a part of, what rings true is that you're a dad.
Yes,
You're a dad, and these are your kids, and you love them.
Every one of them.
I wish I could say court was adjourned and wish you all the best of luck, but
Well, the gig was up, and it was finally time to find out if Mr. Rogers was the father to the 2 kids in question. Trust me, he had been through a lot, and the only thing that could bring him peace was the DNA results. Well, here they come. Let's see if it's going to be his worst nightmare.
Some paper evidence here that talks about Crohn's disease, and it explains that it is pretty much hereditary.
Jerome, can you please hand me Mr. Rogers' evidence? So,
And no one
Mr.
in
Rogers.
my family or her family has this disease.
so you two had to come clean with the secret you had been keeping from him.
We did keep a secret, Your Honor.
She claimed it was a mistake on her path, but she really did mess up big time. Ms. Jackson was in court to prove that Mr. Taylor was the biological father of her child. Now hold up, it wasn't that simple. While she was 9 months pregnant, she dropped a bombshell on Mr. Taylor saying there was a chance he might not be the father of the child. She then changed her mind after giving birth to the baby, claiming he was the biological father. Sounds like someone is really confused about who the real baby daddy is.
So, Mr. Taylor, what is riding on today's results?
Well, this relationship, I've been through too much. I've done too much for the kids. I've been there since day one, raising this kid, fathering the kid, clothing the kid. I do everything for this child. And the only thing that I do know is that if this child ain't mine, I'll be walking out this courtroom today a single man.
You all are engaged. You have a family together. So there is a lot at stake here.
Mr. Taylor was willing to end everything if the results from the DNA test did not turn out to be in his favor. He said he had taken enough of Ms. Jackson's lies and disloyalty, and all he wanted was to know if he was the father of the child or not. You could not blame him, honestly. I mean, why would your girlfriend tell you that you aren't the father of her child, only to change her mind and say you are the father? Trust me, it's really messed up from where I'm sitting.
He knows how much I care for him, and I am praying today that these results show that he is the father of Raymond, because our relationship is riding on it.
How did you end up cheating? What happened in the relationship that drove you to do that?
A few years ago, we just packed up and we moved to Florida for a fresh start. And I met Mr. Green in a shelter.
In Ms. Jackson's defense, she claimed her reason for getting intimate with another man was because she felt Mr. Taylor was never going to return to her after leaving her, and he kids stranded in a new city they had just moved to. For Mr. Taylor, that wasn't the case, all right. He had a different truth to tell. He claimed he didn't abandon them, but only went to look for job opportunities elsewhere so he could provide for her and the kids. At least one of them has to be telling the truth. So who exactly is it?
I tried to get in contact with her. When she was there, she was at a youth shelter. And at the
He didn't
youth shelter,
try to get in contact with me.
At the youth
I
shelter.
tried to get in contact with him. I didn't even know that he was
At the
in
youth-
Atlanta for 2 days. I was blowing his phone up, calling him, and he was like, well,
you're
gonna
lying.
be upset
You're
when
lying
I
just like
tell you
everything
where I
else.
am.
You're lying
and he
just
was
like
like, I'm in
everything else.
Atlanta.
Wait
He
a
had already
minute,
been
if
in
you're
Atlanta.
All right.
wait.
It looked like Mr. Taylor was the one telling the truth in this situation. He went to look for greener pastures elsewhere, and luckily for him, he made it work. But the crazy thing about it was while he was away, he tried, reaching out to Ms. Jackson to find out if she and the kids were doing okay, but she never responded to any of his calls. Why? She was already in bed with another man. She has to be one impatient woman, if you ask me.
So how long after Mr. Taylor left for Atlanta did you turn to Mr. Green?
A few weeks.
3 days later, she was pregnant by October 12th. I left September 14th. That was less than a month.
No,
That's a lie.
I didn't do it right away.
Ooh, I'm so mad.
If he would have never left us there in the first place, this whole situation could have been avoided. If he would
I
have
left
just been a
because they was
man
in a
about the
shelter.
situation.
They have.
Ms. Jackson was throwing all the blame on Mr. Taylor. She blamed him for pretty much everything. In her words, she said if he didn't go away for so long, the whole situation of her getting intimate with someone else could have been avoided. Aside from that, She said she had also been blowing up his phone for 2 straight days while he was away. But for some reason, she didn't get any responses from him. Something definitely sounds fishy with both of their stories.
Situation with the mother of his child, and I was going through a similar situation with Mr. Taylor, and we connected on that level because we were both going through the heartache of losing someone that we cared about and still wanting to be in that relationship. You know, it wasn't right, but it was emotions at the time. You cannot control your emotions when you feel that you want someone.
Mr. Taylor wasn't in that courtroom to beat around the bush, trust me. He had every single fact in check. And these facts were the real deal. When he did the math about the time frame between when Ms. Jackson got pregnant and when she gave birth, it just wasn't adding up. He was so certain the baby wasn't his. From the look in his eyes, you could see the level of betrayal he felt. It was a lot, trust me.
And there would be no chance of us. So I wanted to try to have him for just a little longer. I love this man. This is my heart. I should have thought, you know, about his emotions too, that he was gonna get attached to the child. And you know, I didn't think of that. I just put myself first. And I told him, I tell you all the time that I love you.
Finally, it was time to hear from the man who caused so much trouble in their relationship. Mr. Green, who happened to be the man Ms. Jackson was intimate with, walked into the courtroom. And believe me when I tell you, he had some serious truth bombs to drop in that courtroom. The things he said will leave you beyond speechless. Trust me.
Everything went downhill from there. After that, shit, go. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Took stuff, put it outside.
Your Honor, he is crazy. This man is crazy. I left, Your Honor. After the argument, it wasn't that he put me out and put my stuff out.
How did you end up back with Mr. Taylor then?
When I went back to Michigan, we ended up talking and we got back together.
Well, there's no going back now. The stakes were beyond high for both Mr. Taylor and Ms. Jackson. She was hoping to save her family, even though she had messed up big time, and Mr. Taylor just wanted to know if he was the father of the child in question. Well, the results are in, and the truth is about to drop. Hold your breath because here it comes.
His biological father is Mr. Green.
If that's mine, that's good. And I respect you for being there.
I was about to say, you got a good child now.
That was not the news you wanted today.
It was pretty difficult to understand what was going on between these two. Ms. Eubanks' goal was to get married. You could even say it was something she wished for all her life. There was just one obstacle that was stopping that from happening. She had to prove that the child belonged to her supposed husband-to-be. Trust me, you guys aren't going to believe the things that were said. I'm sure you're ready for all the juice. Well, let's dive into it.
I want to save my relationship because we've been together too long. I'm 1,002% sure that he's my child's father. I just want these results for him so we can move forward and get married like we planned.
And how has this doubt affected you?
It affected me tremendously, like emotionally.
I heard you well up with tears.
It was very glaring that she loved Mr. Wilkes with all her heart. She was definitely willing to do anything to keep him and make their relationship work. She was just really hurt and sad that he had doubts about a child that she claims they both brought into the world. If things are this sweet, why then are there doubts in their relationship? Where did it all go wrong?
Doubting your baby.
Yes.
And how does that feel as a mother? No mother wants to feel that.
It hurts a little bit, but he still does everything like a father is supposed to.
And yet you have tears in your eyes because
I love him and I want to be with him. And it's just, I don't know, it just hurts sometimes.
Mr. Wilkes, tell the court why you're here today.
Mr. Wilkes was here for one thing. He needed to clear all the doubts that had stored up in his head. He claimed it's been pretty hard for him, looking at the child and just having that weird feeling that the child could possibly not be his. Well, I guess we'll have to see where everything went wrong now, won't we?
The relationship started, we met each other at the strip club. We was there for a family member's birthday party. And
okay.
It was just love at first sight. Like, we was together ever since. It took a turn for the worst after our first child was born. We had took a little, I guess what he calls it, a so-called breakup.
Apparently, these two were attracted to each other almost immediately after they met. You could even say it was love at first sight. Hold up, things take a turn for the worst after that. They have their first son, and boom! Out of nowhere, they split up. And just like that, things go from bad to worse. They find themselves in a ring of zero trust.
He was going in the house.
No.
So I catch him going in the house. So me being the person that I am, I parked and I watched to let him go to a little closer. Yeah, so he walked a little closer to the door So that's when I got out, because where else was you gonna go? You know what I'm saying? So as I walked to the door, he turns around and walked the other way.
After the split, things were not the same for Mr. Wilkes and Ms. Eubanks. It was as if they had never been in love before. As things start to escalate in the courtroom, the craziest revelations start to unfold. Baby daddy wanted to pay baby mama a visit, only to discover that she had been hanging out with her ex-boyfriend. Trust me, if I were in his shoes, I would definitely be filled with so much doubt after seeing something like that.
Whatever they got going on does not have nothing to do with me. You saw me in the house, in the bed with our son. I'm telling you, I'm ready to go.
She texted me out the blue, asked me, where are you?
I'm ready to go.
You were at a place, a location for hours, and you just text me like, where are you?
Oh, you think she was trying to get tabs, like how far away is he?
I know, I've been with her so long.
That's the thing. I don't need to do that with him.
Ms. Eubanks breaks down into tears. When I say tears, trust me, there's no stopping her from crying in that courtroom. She just couldn't handle the emotional pain that was coming from the doubts Mr. Wilkes had about her and her baby. Trust me, you could only feel sad for her.
Let's take a look at the video. What do we see here, Mr. Wilkes?
We see that's her when she said she had eyes for me. This is during our little separation. That's her dancing. She's bent over, she just slapped the camera. That's a guy behind her, you can't really see it. You kind of see it? You see that grinding?
Well, let's get to the evidence showroom. Mr. Wilkes had some evidence to show why he had doubts about the child. Trust me, folks, it was one hell of evidence. It took the breath of every single person in the courtroom. Even the judge couldn't believe her eyes.
It was just they had like a whole little party.
So, Mr. Wilkes, you brought a witness to court that saw this whole thing.
Yes.
Please stand, sir. Step over to the podium. State your name for the court.
Dante Gillahan.
Mr. Gillahan, you were there that night at this club?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you remember seeing?
No, he was not.
I remember seeing her, the guy, another girl, and another fella.
Mr. Wilkes wasn't going to take any chances, trust me. The video evidence to him didn't do enough justice to expose Ms. Eubanks. He brought one of his friends who was actually at the place where the whole situation went down. Trust me, he came prepared.
All right, so some point, Ms. Eubanks, you find out you're pregnant.
And that was way after this.
Way after that period of time?
Yes.
So when you find out you're pregnant, take me to that day.
I had met up with Mr. Wilkes, and he had looked at me. He gave me this like weird little look, and then he just started touching on my stomach, and he was like...
The stakes were high for both Mr. Wilkes and Ms. Eubanks. Let's hope Ms. Eubanks gets to save her relationship and get married to Mr. Wilkes. I guess this is what we've been waiting for. Let's hear the truth.
Mr. Wilkes, you are the father. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Absolutely, if she's okay. There are certain things in our lives as parents you have to give up.
Exactly.
You dream about.
Right.
Right? Because these videos right here, they're gonna get you in trouble every time.